Good morning. As noted, my name is Clayton McLaughlin. I oversee business within the Havas Media Group, Media Post Agency of the Year this year, Media Agency of the Year. Woo. So your check will be in the mail. Thank you very much. So we're tasked with talking about these mega marketplaces today, and we've got a great panel for you guys. So what I'm going to do is ask them each to introduce themselves and then tell me the last thing that they bought on Amazon.
All right, my name is Brian Garvin. I'm with Purple. Been there almost from the very beginning. It's been a fun ride. And the last thing I bought on Amazon was actually vitamins.
Kyle Rosebush, I'm with Skull Candy. Been there about 8 years. Run digital websites, our Amazon. Last thing on Amazon, Tim Ferriss's new book and a Ninja blender.
Nice. You weren't using the two of those together, were you? You weren't like,
yeah, you weren't trying to blend
free shipping. No, not at all. You could though.
Blend the blender. blend the book.
My name's Joe Turtel, and I manage the e-commerce, digital marketing, and email at Rite Aid. Been there for 4 years now. And the last thing I bought on Amazon was an Eddie Bauer backpack.
He has it in the back if anybody would like to see it too. It's a nice
I'll display
bag.
it.
So, okay, so I want to kick off this, but there's a couple of numbers that I've found over the last couple of days that have summed up both Black Friday and Cyber Monday, and I think put some of this into perspective. So I'll run through these really quickly. So according to Forbes, 58 million consumers this year shopped exclusively online, whereas only 51 million shopped only in stores. So there's more people that are saying I'm spending more money online exclusively now than even in stores, which I thought was kind of an interesting number. Adobe reports that the Cyber Monday spending rose 16.8% compared to last year, which is roughly $6.59 billion. So just pocket change for some of you folks in here. And this is, I think, the most interesting number that I found was the biggest spenders of this year's holiday season were millennials, so ages 24 to 35. So the elusive millennial that we all love and hate all at the same time seem to be spending an awful lot of money this year during Cyber Monday and Black Friday. So there's a number of other numbers here. Right? Amazon was responsible for 55% of online sales, of all online sales for Black Friday. So not Cyber Monday, but Black Friday. The closest competitor was Walmart at only 8.8%. So Amazon was 55%, Walmart made up only 8.8%. So that dominance is pretty impressive, to say the least. So I've got a bunch of other stuff that's really not all that important. So what I want to do is talk to the smart folks here and get their sort of perspective on all this, so I'll shut up. So first question, what do you guys think has sort of driven this meteoric rise of not just Amazon, but Jet and Walmart and all of these online retailers, which originally the question was in the last 2 or 3 years, but it almost feels like it's much more recent than that. Like, I feel like 8 months, and it's just the only thing I hear about is Amazon and Jet and Walmart and those sort of things.
Sure, I can take that one. Or I'll start. So I think it's one of these, you read the four, and you see these things about a Benjamin Button company and these types of things that reverse age, and they get better the more you use them. They don't deteriorate, but actually, as consumers and vendors use these things, they get smarter, they get better. And I think you see that especially on the vendor side. You put efforts into building your SEO and building these pages that become assets for you, generating reviews, that type of thing, and it just gets the flywheel going and kind of perpetuates your sales on their platform.
I think it's the simplicity, especially around mobile, right? I know when I'm looking for something, the first thing I do is I pull out my phone, check to see if it's on Amazon, and then check to see if it's on Prime, right? And if it's not on either, I basically just go about my day, and I'm like, yeah, I'll get back to that later. So I think the simplicity is a lot of it. Amazon's really built the foundation to have the trust there, right? Because it's been 20 years, basically, they've been doing this, and it really has been the last couple of years that it's really, really blowing up. So I think that's a big part of it there.
Yeah, I would definitely agree on simplicity and trust. I know that when I started at Rite Aid 4 years ago, one of the first meetings I walked into, people were like, what department do you work in? I said, e-commerce. And they said, what's e-commerce? So now, a lot of people now understand e-commerce. Everyone's, buying everywhere and mostly on Amazon. So I think everyone has this familiarity with it that they hadn't had 3 or 4 years ago.
So your brands individually, so from the agency perspective, we talk to a lot of these clients about Amazon, and we get some cases they love it, some cases they hate it. So I'm interested to understand what your brand perspective is on Amazon as a competitor versus sort of a partner.
So for Purple, it's definitely a partner. Part of the way that Purple launched was getting some products on Amazon initially to get some initial reviews, which we used in our Kickstarter program. So having that third-party trusted Amazon review is really important for us, and it's continued to be. Like, we invest a lot in Amazon Media Group specifically to help drive sales on our site as well as sales on Amazon.
And for us, it's been an evolution. I mean, it was 18 months ago, we treated Amazon almost as a competitor to our own .com. So it was treated just like any retailer, like a Walmart or a Best Buy or that type of thing. And it was, we sell your product and their sell-through, and then we do replens, and that was about the extent of it. About 18 months, 2 years ago, we brought together digital marketing practices and the types of things that work for your own branded site and applied those to Amazon to build basically an ecosystem between the sites, between the channels. And that's when it really became more of a partnership and taking advantage of things like AMG and the Media Group, Vine reviews and that type of thing. And that really put us in a new place because, frankly, you look at reviews that are now digital and social currency, and it's, you know, on your own site, it has a different feel to it. It's a bit more, consumers think it's curated by the brand or whatever that is. When you get a review on Amazon, it's a little more trusted, and so building that community and that channel became a big part of the strategy and got away from the competition side of things and more of this is an entire ecosystem.
Yeah, for Rite Aid, so we look at RiteAid.com, we see Amazon pretty much as a competitor. We sell a lot of the same things. For our physical stores, we definitely see Amazon as a competitor, especially as they start to think about maybe entering the pharmacy space. But we're also looking at Amazon as an opportunity so that we can share some of our private label and private brands and expand that brand awareness of those items that we just couldn't do ourselves.
Real quick, I just want to piggyback on the review portion there because I think that's really important. Amazon is literally the only site in the world, I think, that has its own reviews that are more trusted than pretty much anybody else, right? Any other brand, any other website, having the reviews on your site, it's not as trusted. Everybody always feels like there's a little bit of skewing there, right? And it's in the brand's best interest to try and skew it a little bit, right? The worst reviews, you don't want them up on your site. You know, you want those sales. But with Amazon, they've really laid down the law, and they've proven time and time again that they're not going to let that be influenced or changed. Okay.
It's tougher to game, right? So it's you're looking for that 4 stars, and really it's 3.8, and they round up. So you get into that area where it's just this is more trusted and harder to game. And if you have that 4-star ranking, you're a step above your competitors if they don't.
Okay, so let's jump ahead and talk about specifically the review stuff. And again, we'll probably talk more on the Amazon side, but I think we're starting to see this more and more across all of the marketplaces, and we'll get into that too, because I don't want to discuss just Amazon. Sorry, Amazon. So how do you guys and your brands generate that engagement on Amazon and all these other sites? So are you using, for Amazon, are you using Vine? You know, how are you using your own CRM systems? Are you using those to try and generate those sort of reviews? Because we obviously recognize the value of what that means to your brands.
Yeah, we are. So we are using Vine and that type of thing. And I would say that what Vine does for us is remove outliers. And so take a product launch and say you put your product up and you're putting money behind it outside of Amazon and that type of thing. And a review goes up and it's 2 stars and it's not on the product itself. It's, hey, my packaging showed up damaged or that type of thing. Well, that's not a product review. Your review looks like, or your reviews on that product look like 2 stars. And so what Vine can do is provide basically an injection of 30 reviews or whatever it is that basically remove those outliers. So you go on there and you get a non-product review that's bringing you down. These types of things will go in there and say these are legitimate product reviews that kind of avoid that side of things. So that's been super effective for us. And then what I would say about the ecosystem and what we were talking about earlier with retargeting is that treating it like a full ecosystem where you can bounce between Amazon and Facebook and your own .com and that type of thing, because we know that's how consumers shop, has basically let us utilize all the data that we have, and it doesn't matter necessarily where or which channel they buy on, as long as they're buying Skull Candy, basically.
So for Purple, we haven't used Vine reviews yet, but we've got some product launches coming up, so we probably will. But for us, reviews have actually been really important. This summer, I've only used Amazon Media Group up until this summer to drive traffic to our site. I wasn't using it to link into Amazon at all. And this summer, I decided to do a little bit of a test to see what we could do, because the bane of my existence is production right now. So we haven't been able to keep Amazon stocked. And so we felt like we were in a good place where we could keep it stocked, so if I drove people to Amazon, they'd actually be able to buy. Well, the interesting thing that came out of that is because it's kind of almost like a co-branded ad with Amazon on a link in that has Amazon reviews embedded in it and takes them to the product detail page. First off, I saw some increase in our organic rankings on Amazon because we were getting more product detail page views and all of that. But the most interesting thing is it actually became a stop in the consumer journey. So for every one mattress we sold on Amazon, from those linking campaigns, we actually sold 2 on our website, which is really interesting to me.
Yeah, definitely wouldn't expect that. So as we continue to talk about reviews, so what is Rite Aid doing maybe on, excuse me, on RiteAid.com for reviews and generation and that sort of stuff? Like, is that a focus for what you guys are trying to do for on-site e-com? Or what's the perspective on that?
Yeah, good question. I mean, for us, we partner with some review sites, review syndicators, but then we also make sure that we're sending out a lot of emails, a lot of other types of campaigns, making sure that after somebody buys certain products, but trying to understand, not just send everybody ratings and reviews, but using our data to basically send the right people ratings and reviews. So we're doing that with all of our products online.
So we're sitting in a room full of search marketers, performance marketers too. So as we talk about reviews in particular, how are you guys looking at proving the value of those? So the efforts that you're putting behind them, whether it's CRM or Vine or whatever it might be, how do you prove, okay, there's a monetary value to getting a 3.8 star rating or a 4-star rating, whatever it might be? Like, how are you guys looking at that within your organizations?
I mean, for us, it starts with, well, it becomes how do you generate reviews becomes a big question for us, and then how do you go ahead and monetize those? And so that started with, we needed to create an entire program organization-wide to focus on not only reviews, but reviews on Amazon. So it was a mindset in the company to say, we value Amazon reviews ahead of other reviews, and so out of that you can build programs that start at the factory and become packaging inserts for love the product, go review on Amazon, as opposed to yourown.com even, which I think is a shift from what we've seen in the last couple of years. That's been kind of a fundamental change in the business that's helped us, and then it became using influencers. So getting with programs like YouTube, and FameBit is a group from YouTube that has kind of micro influencers, 10 to 50,000 follower type people that generally get trusted. You know, you can tell when somebody was seeded product or paid for product and they're giving a review. When you have that type of micro influencer, it really goes a ways. And then if they're telling you, hey, the best place to leave a review is Amazon, I leave reviews at Amazon, that type of thing, it's trusted, kind of more what we were talking about earlier.
For Purple, I think we're a little bit unique because we're so new that we haven't had to jump over a lot of the hurdles that a lot of established brands have, right? We started with Amazon. We started with reviews there, right? And so that was able to prove out the value, along with all of the other marketing that we do, like investing 80, 90% of your budget in top of funnel video advertising, right? Most brands aren't able to get that approved easily, but because that's where we started, we're able to really grow that rapidly, and we don't get the pushback that most other brands do.
Yeah, when we launched our site about 3 years ago, we didn't have ratings and reviews, so then we brought in some syndication, and the syndicators out there will tell you that you'll see this magnificent number or increase in revenue or conversion rate. We definitely did see an increase, but it wasn't as high as they thought, but there was definitely an increase on the site on all those products that had ratings and reviews.
So you guys have mentioned, I heard micro-influencers a couple times there, and maybe this is just an agency, silo bullshit, but like, how do you guys, when you start talking about micro-influencers, who's managing that within your organization? Because from my perspective, and a lot of our clients that's a social thing, right? So search people aren't allowed to do the social thing. So how are you guys working on that? Are you able to break down those barriers, and how's that working or not working?
Yeah, we are, and our social team runs a lot of the relationships in there and finding new influencers, because frankly, that's the most important part, is finding the right influencers. It's one thing to go get a group of people to talk about the product, do a video review of the product, leave a review, but it's another one to have the right audience and that type of thing. So in that regard, our social team runs that for the KPIs, the engagement, how that translates to actual sales and new customers. That's that strategy, and a lot of times that budget is run by the digital part or the digital marketing group.
And with us, digital marketing is everything basically. So the social team handles a lot of the relationships, again, like Skull Candy, but a lot of the budget actually comes out of our performance media budget because we know it's going to have an impact, and it's easier to get, honestly.
Yeah, our social team manages all of those individuals, and it falls underneath our brand digital marketing. So that's where our social team fills in, and we actually have our whole set of influencers that we send new products to and new packages to, and try to get them to either blog about those new items or rate or review some of those new items that we just launched.
And sorry, I'll add another piece to this. Is we've been experimenting. So take a group like Hook It is the type of thing that's trying to gamify basically sponsorships, and so it's the type of thing where it has software that will estimate basically how far reach went or how valuable someone was to you if they were using or wearing your product, or wearing a T-shirt with your brand on it on their Instagram posts or that type of thing. So picture a skier, podiums, and he's wearing Skull Candy, shirt or that type of thing on the podium. Software like that will go out there and estimate, hey, this post and this reach, and the fact that he was wearing your merch translates into X, and so that helps us find better influencers, better ambassadors, and really incentivizes those people to be bought in and really lean into the brand.
All right, so we'll back away from just the Amazon thing and agency bullshit for a little bit. So how are you guys then using other marketplaces, right? The Jet.coms, the Walmarts, the eBays of the world. Like, do you guys see those differently than Amazon? Are they competitors? Are they partners? How would you potentially use those differently? And just trying to understand the larger marketplace, shopper marketing sort of aspect for your businesses.
So for Purple right now, again, production is the bane of my existence. So we're exploring all of those opportunities, but we're not actually on those platforms right now. We've looked at eBay in some ways as competitors because somehow people are selling new mattresses on there for less than we sell them for. So like just policing that is really hard, and eBay's honestly worthless at helping with it. So like that's one of the problems there, but it is something that we're exploring.
Hopefully somebody from eBay is listening. So that's
for us, we're our eyes on them, but it's definitely 1A in terms of priority. So for example, Walmart.com, Jet, those types of things, we have programs there and we're starting to scale, but it's the type of thing where there's no ad platform on Walmart.com or that type of thing. And so a lot of the things we've benefited from over the last 2 years, we can't engage with. It's really what's the best price you can give us. For eBay, it's been a bit of the same. And a bit challenging of what is eBay to us? Is this a closeout channel? Are we driving new sales? Is this new product? Is this new customers? And so that one's been an evolving thing, and who knows where that'll go in the future, especially as where's eBay going in the future.
The Walmarts, the Targets, the Jets, I mean, we look at those guys as competitors to us. Now, eBay is a little bit different. Again, 1A is a great way to put it. We've run into a lot of cases where we'll just scour on Amazon or eBay, and our products will be out there and someone else selling them. They had to buy them from us first, so I'm okay with that.
So that's a theme here, right? There seems to be a secondary market for some of these products, right? And to your point, they bought it from us first, so who gives a shit, right? Right. But do you feel like there's a brand degradation, or again, how are your organizations looking at that?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, for us, if somebody's selling some other Rite Aid brand products that are on eBay, selling them significantly cheaper, there's definitely a brand erosion there. But for us right now, we have some other things that we really need to tackle that we'll just let it go until it really becomes a real issue.
And for us, it's been extremely brand degrading. I mean, it's terribly difficult when the world of price matching, and it doesn't take a lot to disrupt the entire marketplace or cause channel conflict and that type of thing, where you've got a third-party seller that has 5 units and that can really disrupt the Best Buy business is a pretty incredible area to be in. And so out of that, it's caused a lot of, we have to have processes, we need to police more, we certainly can't take our eye off the ball on any of these types of things, and so it's caused the organization to double down on software and pay for things that help us scrape and know how big is this problem for us, and then be able to have a map policy and have a bit of offense against it type of thing has been a huge organizational focus.
Yeah, and there's definitely brand degradation on our side as well. But that, I think part of it is also how you build the relationship with Amazon specifically, right? Like if you're doing FBA and you're shipping it out to them, but you're the one selling it, it's a little bit different on the pricing side of stuff, right? They're not going in there and jacking with your prices all the time, whereas if they're buying it from you and it's basically first-party Amazon selling your product, and that retailer that has third-party seller that has 5 of your products puts it out there all of a sudden, then you're kind of SOL, right? So one of the things that I think a lot of traditional media or traditional companies, like especially in the mattress space, right? As an example, that's why they actually have slightly varied models for every different channel. So like you can't really price shop because the models are slightly different. So like it could force brands to actually enlarge their SKUs for each specific channel, because if nobody's selling the same product exactly, nobody can price match.
So Kyle, you mentioned a process specific to this, right? So you've got these tools that allow you to scrape this. You've identified that there's a problem. What's your course of action? Like what I guess legally can you do? And obviously if you don't want to share that, you don't have to. But I'm interested too from a Rite Aid perspective. Like what are you guys actively able to do to be able to combat this other than just keep an eye on it?
Sure, and keeping an eye on it is huge. I mean, so we're able to identify with the software, these are your offenders, these are people, and then you can prioritize. These are people that have your product at scale, they're on different channels, they're international in a lot of cases, and so it gives you an FBI's most wanted type list of third-party offenders, which is helpful. And so the example of what do you do about that is Black Friday, for example, in a lot of cases, our own .com had some products that had great deals on it in a way that chums the water for, arbitrage and that type of thing. And so out of that, we were seeing $50,000, $75,000 orders for our top products that were on discount and by these groups that were on our hit list. So then you can action that and you can prevent it from getting into the marketplace, and that's really the goal. So out of that, that's been a process, and then MAP. So MAP policy in general has been something that has to have teeth, and if it doesn't have teeth, then you're vulnerable to this, and when you're vulnerable to this, it just perpetuates, and you have a huge problem before you know it. So out of that, the loop goes from identifying to engaging with, and then ultimately, if you need to, take legal action or that type of thing, because scale's getting huge on these types of things, and it's a full-blown business. It's not. There are instances of 5 and 10 products on a third party, but there's instances of thousands of units too, and so it's a full-blown process internally that spans every department, kind of thing.
Yeah, for us, we have some software that we'll use to actually prevent certain people from buying from us. And if there's other people out there that we know that's kind of reselling some of the stuff on eBay or wherever it may be, we just block them. Like they just can't buy from us anymore. So it's really becomes that simple.
Okay. Are you seeing, is that effective? Right? Are they, I just feel like the people that are being shady on eBay might buy your product from one name. When you block them, they just start another one and start buying it from you again. Like, what are you seeing any of that kind of stuff? You've been able to identify that? No,
not really.
Okay. All right. How about purple perspective? Anything you guys are not worried
Honestly,
about?
no. Right now,
Okay.
yeah, not at all.
Simple. That's the best answer there is, right?
We will be.
Yeah. You can call these guys up when you need to. That's perfect.
Oh, I've already got a list of questions for him afterwards.
Well, you can take this over if you'd like. I can go sit out
Which
there.
tools do you use to scan all of these products? How does it affect international? If they buy in the U.S., are you watching to see if they're shipped on international?
Okay, I was joking. So that's we'll get back in. You can have it. I've got like 2 questions left, so we're good from there. So how have you seen the impact of particularly Amazon with Prime and 2-day delivery and the expectation now that consumers have? How has their business models impacted what you guys are doing, right? Like we already see Walmart now is doing 2-day delivery because they have to. eBay is trying to get in the same thing. So all these marketplaces have made shifts to try and keep up with these new expectations that we as consumers have. What have you guys seen both from like your perspective of .com business, but then also your expectations of which marketplaces to work with and how do you work with consumers there too?
So for Purple, it's made a huge impact on conversion for us because we do live in the age of Amazon, and a lot of the major markets, it's not 2 days, it's hours that you can potentially have the product at your door or next day, right? And so for us, with having all of the production issues that we've had and just being able to keep up with the demand that we generate, we've had a lot of backlog issues. And I remember last year, had a little bit more time to dig through social comments and stuff, and people were like commenting on things and saying, hey, when are you gonna be back in stock? I've been waiting 4 months to order. And I'm like, you could have been sleeping on the damn thing for like 2 months now or 3 months. You could have gone through your whole 100-night trial and known that you loved it. But people want that instant gratification, and if they can't get it, they're just like, yeah, I'll just wait. And that definitely poses a problem for us specifically. And it's also why we've tried to get the production to prioritize shipments to Amazon so that those people that, yes, they're going to get their product a little bit earlier than somebody on our site, but there's also a few differences with like the warranty or trial on Amazon versus ours. It's a 30-day versus 100, so we're not as concerned about that, and prioritizing that for those people that want that instant gratification. I mean, we're shipping a 140-pound product if you're getting a king mattress. It doesn't ship easy 2 day.
Yeah, for us, it's been everything from our own website, from the homepage through checkout, is now influenced by Amazon because the consumers are trained that way. I mean, with 60% of product searches starting on Amazon, there's an expectation around what an e-commerce site is and what it should look like. And so for that, it's our own product detail pages in a lot of ways, the layout of the images, the add to cart and where it is, our SEO strategy for those pages are all influenced a lot by our efforts on Amazon and the Amazon platform itself. For checkout, it's been the type of thing where you get to as close as you can as one-page checkout as possible. We've started with Venmo payment, that type of thing, and the idea there is think mobile and think how do you compete with Amazon. And so with that one, it's not quite there with Venmo, but soon, and that's potentially a thumbprint scan, and that's your verification for checkout, and form fields are a thing of the past. And so we're at least trying to think that way and experiment with new technologies and new apps and that type of thing on our own e-commerce because Amazon doesn't have Venmo checkout today. Their checkout's the best in the world, so it's what else is out there and what are people used to. And then there's the element of who's your consumer. And so we know our consumer checks between Amazon and our own site and that type of thing. We also know that 18, 19-year-olds use Venmo. And so then there gets to be an opportunity for marketing your checkout, which is a new thing there. Buy 2 products and have your friend Venmo you for one of them kind of thing. And so we're experimenting with those types of things because of the Amazon effect, frankly.
Yeah, definitely design of your site, the one-page checkout becomes really important. For us, one of the major impacts has been around fulfillment. So when we actually started fulfillment about 3 years ago, it's 3 to 5 days. That's so long. 5 days? Are you kidding me? So for us, it's looking at how do we improve that. So do we have a warehouse on the West Coast as well as the East Coast? Do we actually ship to store so people can pick it up in store or ship from store so people our store employees can actually then ship it out locally so we can get to that couple hours so we can actually compete against somebody like Amazon?
And that's forcing us to look at the same thing, whether we actually do a distributed distribution model for our fulfillment, have multiple warehouses across the country that we're producing in one place, shipping to all these warehouses so that FedEx, can get it to somebody quicker if they're on the East Coast or, up in Chicago or something like that. On the payment side of stuff, I think that's a really big thing. Amazon's basically held the patent for 20 years on, one-click checkout, which the patent has now expired, so people can actually go create their own one-click checkouts if you can make it work. So that's a really big thing, but that's why we've implemented Amazon Pay as one of our checkout options, because it's easy. They just log into their account and you're done, right? Apple Pay, all of those different things. Venmo's one I'm gonna have to look at now.
All right, so let's talk about the D word, right? Data. Get your mind out of the gutter. So what sort of data are you guys using? What are you getting from these marketplaces? Are you seeing that that's more valuable, equally as valuable, or less valuable than your own first-party data? So just trying to understand how you guys are using that. What sort of value are you seeing out of the data that's coming through all these marketplaces as well?
So the data that we're actually getting out of Amazon on the stuff that we're selling there is significantly less, right, than what we get on our own first-party site. How we're leveraging that data, though, is through running things like Amazon Media Group, right? Amazon has some of the richest consumer behavior data available, right? 55% of all sales on Black Friday. That's a lot of freaking data. And so if you can leverage that, and say people were looking at mattresses, but they haven't purchased yet on Amazon, and Amazon will let me run a Kindle ad that drives them to my site, I'll do that all day long, because that's data I don't have access to any other way.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and you nailed it on, their data is great if you can get it. Their interface for data is atrocious, and so actually, but when you have time and you have a person and you're able to scrape and mine and that type of thing, you can see the data there is incredible. You can see what people are buying alongside headphones. In a lot of cases, you'd never think of it, and it opens up opportunities for other things down the road. But it also, I mean, down to your SEO, I found that to be one of the bigger things is finding out what people are purchasing and what total baskets look like, and then basically reverse engineering that on your page itself and the metadata, that type of thing. Sell-through data and that type of thing is something that we go ahead and use their API, and so we pull it into our overall data warehouse, and so then we can see trends over time with across the entire marketplace and all channels, and so that's been extremely effective to find out where there's price competition and that type of thing. You watch your sell-through, you watch and you see Amazon dips for 2 days for any reason, it's real obvious, there's a pricing element here that needs to be addressed and that type of thing. So it's really created processes for us and almost teams that are solely focused on how do we get smarter about how people are shopping, and then ultimately be on all the channels, because it's not necessarily just Amazon, your own .com, it's now Facebook and social commerce and these types of things, and so data for us is going to help us make the best decisions on where to be and when to be, kind of thing, how to spend money, frankly.
Yeah, that's a good point. We use our first-party data very heavily. So it's all transactional information, all Wellness Plus information, all that kind of information. We throw it into our systems, and then we use that across all of our channels. So that's all programmatic, that's all display, that's all search, that's all social. So the goal is that if somebody sees something in Facebook, they're also seeing those same items, those same coupons, those same offers in all the other channels.
I know this isn't really a marketplace, but it's kind of turning into one. You mentioned Facebook, and they've got the marketplaces there now, but one of the things that's really interesting is they just rolled out Facebook Analytics, which is not like analytics just within Facebook. It's actually based off of the pixel on your website. And so you can actually go in there, connect your page to there, and you can see the people that commented on your post, what the percentage of those people that commented then added to cart, then purchased, or did other things like that, the number of people that message you, what's the conversion rate of those that share your product, or if they react on a post. There's a lot of really cool things now that you can start gleaning some of that data to help build out some of that processes.
Well, and Facebook in general is becoming a checkout, and so that's made it. That's an area too of focus, because it used to be sort of a clunky experience around. You'd run a campaign, you'd do a Facebook Live, concert or that type of thing, and then what? It's a bit of a cul-de-sac. Are you bouncing somebody to your own .com? Are you taking them somewhere else? Are you getting them off the platform? And now with Facebook social commerce and a lot of website platforms that allow for a checkout on Facebook, and then the back end of your e-commerce platform goes ahead and collects the order, that type of thing. Makes the experience that much better. And so what we're focusing there, because they're different channels and they're different consumers, you know, and the example there is on our own .com, we have our pinnacle product for MSRP, and then if there's Amazon 20% less, we still see purchases on our own .com, which says to me that there are different consumers and they have channels that they prefer, and I would see Facebook as one that's additive and incremental as opposed to stealing from either your own .com or Amazon. This is a wholly new revenue channel that we look at.
And with Messenger as well, like you can set up chatbots, right? So one of the favorite things that we implemented in the last year was if they order, they can get notifications of where their order's at, what's going on, and you can add flavor to it, right? It's not just like your order shipped. It's like, hey friend, like using the voice, and we found a lot of people that have really started to engage with that, and it's also turned into an opportunity for a Q&A type of thing for us as well.
Okay. So as our beginning, before we get to the smart questions, give me your predictions, 6, 12, 18 months. What's the thing that you expect to see change the most, or that you're most excited about from this larger marketplace perspective?
So I think Facebook will start evolving a little bit more into being viewed more as a marketplace or a channel that you can actually sell on, and really have those conversations with your consumers. But I really see Amazon as coming up and being, you know, right alongside Google and Facebook as far as not just a platform to sell your products on, but a way to actually reach the masses. Amazon Media Group, like I said, there's so many opportunities there. You know, they've got video advertising now with their Fire TV. They've got, you know, the Prime Video, all of those different placements that you can start looking into, and all of that data that you can utilize. And if you're doing your job right, you could start thinking about things a little bit differently. If you notice that a lot of your consumers like sci-fi shows, well, you could start targeting everybody that goes to Amazon's IMDb property, right, and is looking at sci-fi, or going and potentially viewing all of those types of things. So,
yeah, I totally agree about the Amazon piece, and I think the bold prediction would be there's another player there that we're not thinking of in that way today that will emerge. And for me, my money's on Netflix, and call it eyeball real estate, and then earlier to who's buying the most online, and it's millennials, and that's a huge proportion of that. So I think they've got something that can become a revenue channel, can become something for brands to plug into, and so I'm excited about that one.
Yeah, two things. One that I don't know if I'm really excited about, but I definitely think that Amazon's going to continue to really hurt physical retail. We've seen it over the past couple years. More recently, but I think it's going to continue to go. So retailers really, I mean, to win, they're going to have really good service, really good experience, and really good loyalty. So they got to really work on those things. So, but the other thing I really think is going to become really important to compete against Amazon is product listing ads. And there's going to be a lot more money put into product listing ads, how we manage our PLAs differently, how we manage feeds differently, how we all do that. Product listing ads will become really, really, really important.
Great. How about your questions?
I have a question. Brian. Brian, when you said when consumers go to Amazon to look for your product, are they searching on branded or non-branded keywords?
So most of it's brand search, and again, that's because we invest so heavily in top of funnel that they're doing that. We do run on some non-brand, right, ads on non-brand on Amazon, and part of the reason why we do that is to get some of the keyword data out, right? Because you can see what the search queries are that are coming through there. It's a pain in the ass to get, but you can get it, and so we can use that to influence content and other stuff that we're doing. We get some sales out of it, but obviously that top of funnel, driving that awareness, connecting with somebody emotionally, right? Like that's really what makes a brand, and that's what makes somebody want to do that brand search there.
I just thought it was really interesting when the keynote was talking about how that women were searching on ingredients and things like that to find his product. Are any of you, would that apply to any of you guys as well? Non-branded keywords versus branded?
Yeah, we do, and we treat it a bit, we treat them almost separately and almost have a separate budget for them, meaning that you've basically, and I think about it as a pyramid. So we've got our bottom level of the pyramid is all branded, and you'll spend whatever that number is. As many people that are searching for you by brand, we want to capture all of that. So that's almost a fixed cost for us, whatever that number is. Then up the pyramid, you start to go into category terms or things like non-brand headphones, something that's a little close to the brand but not necessarily you by name. And you allocate a lesser percentage of your spend to that and expect a lower return. And then up the pyramid again, you would go to a competitor. So still same industry, same product types and that type of thing. And it's a little bit of an offensive and a defensive play on your spend is to attack there a little bit. And then at the very top of the pyramid, I would go pure non-brand, and more of prospecting and just brand awareness type of thing. And I kind of structure the spend based off of the importance there.
One of the things that's important for us is, I totally agree on everything that you're saying. One of the other things that we look at is our own site search, and how are people actually searching for products on our website, and start to use that data to influence how we're approaching non-brand.
Okay, so we're actually right on time, so if there aren't any other burning questions, anyone? No? Okay, well, Clayton, panel, thank you guys very much. That's great information. Thank you.